Hi, I'm Scott, and I'm an American in Bangkok. Today's topic, the cost of living and the standard of living in Thailand. How much is enough? I put up another video on YouTube, living in Thailand on a $500 a month budget, and I was surprised at how many people wrote and said $500 a month is plenty. But for every person that wrote me and said, oh, I need very little, 500 bucks is plenty, there was 4 or 5 people that wrote me and said, yeah, maybe you can scrape by on that much, but I wouldn't want to live off of that much. I'm one of those people. I know, because I lived off of $1,000 for 3 months, and frankly, it sucked. I wouldn't ever want to do that again. Okay? You know, right now, $500 breaks down to 14,500 baht. That said, while $500 is nowhere near enough to live some kind of a VIP lifestyle, you're just kidding yourself if you think that that's a VIP lifestyle. And I know because, you know, I've stayed in 5-star hotels all over Asia. You know, I've gone to expensive restaurants, and most of it was not on my dime, fortunately. But that much money is not going to get you that kind of a lifestyle. So if you need that, you might as well just forget about it. You better try earning more money before you come over here. But if you don't, and you're comfortable with living off of that much, which is perfectly acceptable, of course, you know, you might want to take a couple things into consideration. There's some questions you might want to ask yourself. Are you single? Are you married? Are you married with children? Do you truly plan on living in Thailand long term? And by long term, I mean at least 3 years. Do you know what type of visa you're eligible for, and what type of visa do you plan on getting? Do you qualify for a retirement visa? Because if you've got to go out of the country every 3 months, you're going to fly out of the country. Let's say you fly out of the country. You're adding probably another $500, $400 every 3 months. So you're adding considerable to your $500 a month budget. You're adding a lot of expenses. If you've got an education visa and you're paying 20 to 25,000 baht a year for your tuition, you still have to pay another 1,900 baht every 3 months for the extension. So that works out to almost 32,000, anywhere from about 27, 28,000 to 32,000 for a year. And if you break that down over 12 months, then you figure, you know, it's 24, 2,500 baht. Anyway, if you're single and you've got a clean financial slate, then, you know, basically you just need a roof over your head, food in your stomach, and a few other little things. Cheap apartments in Bangkok go from anywhere, say, $100 to $150 a month, and that's pretty cheap. I personally would expect to pay at least 6,000 to 8,000 baht. I had an apartment when I was involved in boxing. I had an apartment that was near the boxing gym, and I was paying 9,000 baht a month for it. It was a very nice place. Just a studio, but it was big, good location. The utilities were about 1,500 baht every month, and I used the place during the week instead of having to commute back and forth 2 hours each way every day or 6 days a week. So let's say that your expenses for an apartment are 8,000 baht a month, including 2,000 baht for all your utilities. Okay? That's a 6,000 baht a month apartment, and we're just going to say 2,000 baht. Maybe it's less, maybe it's 1,000, 1,500, but we're going to say 2,000. So for your accommodation, your utilities, and that is water, electric, internet, and cable, let's say that you pay 2,000. So all in all, 8,000 baht when you hand in your money at the office of your apartment. Then you got to eat, of course. Now, if you just want to eat Thai food, street food, shop house food, figure 50 baht a meal. And that's very little. It's enough, don't get me wrong. 50 baht will give you something to drink. They give you a 40 baht meal, a 35 baht meal, plus your drink. And then you eat 3 times a day. So that's 150 baht a day times 30, 4,500 baht. This is not going out to McDonald's, although somehow you can finagle your expenses if you want to squeeze that in somehow. But this is not going to Fuji or any of the other chain restaurants, or going to a decent restaurant, Italian restaurant, or whatever you want to, wherever you want to go. This is not figuring in some meal that might run you and your girlfriend 1,000 baht or 600 baht for the two of you. Okay, so 4,500 baht. That's actually not very much. That's no groceries. That's no toiletries or anything like that. That's just straight eating 3 times a day at street vendors and shop houses. So that brings a total to 12,500 baht. All right, transportation. At some point, you're probably not going to just walk somewhere. You're going to need to go places. Even if you're taking the SkyTrain, the MRT, boat taxis, but not a car, I'm figuring 300 baht a week. Now, that gives you a little extra in case you need to grab a taxi, and maybe the taxi is 50 baht each way. You do that once a week, and then you spend 200 baht on the MRT or the SkyTrain or whatever it is. So I'm going to round that up to 1,500 baht. So now 1,500 plus 12,500, that is 14,000 baht a month already. You've only got 14,500 baht. So that leaves you with a whopping 500 baht. You got to do your laundry. You got to figure in miscellaneous expenses. If you smoke or drink, forget about it. You know, you're going to have to spend more. And then, you know, let's say that you get a cheaper apartment. You get a 4,000 baht a month apartment. That saves you 2,000 baht. So now your expenses are 12,000 baht. That leaves 2,500 baht for spending, for incidentals, laundry, for things that come up that you might not expect. And, you know, that's, what does that work out to? About 85 bucks? That's not very much for the entire month. That's like $20 a week. It might be enough, though, for some people. If you own a place and, you know, let's say you buy a condo, even if you pay for it in full, assuming you don't have a monthly payment, you're still going to have additional expenses. You're going to need to pay the monthly maintenance fee, because they have, usually the condominiums, they require you pay that. You might have to pay for the upkeep. You might also have to pay a sinking fund fee. And then, you know, there could be any other number of things that you might have to pay that are attached to that condo. So let's just say that the maintenance, the upkeep, and everything works out to an extra 1,500 baht a month. So that saves you from the original 14,000 baht that I had said. That saves you 4,500 baht. So you're just under 10,000 baht. If you want to own something else, like a car, a motorcycle, you're going to pay for gas, for oil, for maintenance, for insurance. With a $500 a month budget, it's going to be very difficult to afford to pay for that and have any money left over. And like I said, if you smoke or drink, forget about it. You know, I've never smoked, but I know some people that have, and they spend far too much money. To me, it's a waste of money on spending it on smoking. If you're on a retirement visa and you have 800,000 baht in the bank, then basically you just need to go in and pay 2,000 baht to immigration once a year, show that 800,000, or 65,000 baht a month, or a combination of the two. And that's it. You have no additional fees. Then there's medical insurance. In my opinion, everybody ought to have medical insurance. I've been here before when I didn't have medical insurance, and it was a huge pain in the neck for me, because I thought that my stay in the hospital was going to be covered, and it wasn't. I was very lucky because I forget how long I was in the hospital. I think I was in there for about 3 weeks. And when the bill came, guess what? I had to pay it. I wasn't covered. I didn't have insurance. I had to pay it myself. And that was a huge pain in the neck because I had to transfer money from abroad. I had to wait a couple days. They wanted to hold my passport. It was a huge pain in the neck. But you really don't want to be here without medical insurance. And there is the possibility that a law will be passed in the near future that expats or visitors to Thailand need to show proof of insurance if they want to be here, if they want to come here. It really does save you. I think we pay $3,000. We pay like $110, $3,300 for myself and my 2 children. And I'm 50, so my insurance is quite a bit more than theirs. If you're only 25 or so, you can probably get it for 800 baht, 1,000 baht a month, something like that. That's only a couple $100 a year, and it definitely will benefit you. But some of the other things to think about besides medical insurance, if you're hospitalized, you're probably going to have to pay some kind of a deductible. You never know when that's going to happen, so you need to be prepared. And then, what about if you just need to go to the doctor and get seen for something? Okay, maybe you can squeeze that into your budget, but probably if you're on a really tight budget, if you're maxed out at say 14,000 baht and you've only got an extra 500 or 1,000 baht a month left over, that's just too tight in my opinion, really. There's just not enough. The other thing is, how old are you? If you're older, one thing I worry about is in the future, what's going to happen to me? I mean, my wife is younger than me, and she can probably take care of me, and my kids can probably take care of me. I don't really want them to. I want to be able to take care of myself. But if you're, say, 75 and you have a hard time getting around and you need daily care, and how are you going to do that with $500 a month? It's not going to be possible unless you're living here with a wife or something like that, and she's young enough to be able to take care of you. So that's something else to consider. The medicine and what about dental fees, clothing, yearly physicals. I try to get a yearly physical, every year. I try to do it once a year. I try to get a physical. And I get one just about the beginning of every year, around January. And like I said, visa runs can add to your expenses and your visa fees. What about if you want to fly home? Say you want to fly home. What do you want to do? You're going to rely on somebody else and say, okay, pay for my ticket? Yeah, maybe you got frequent flyer miles. Maybe you're lucky somebody's going to pay for your ticket or whatever. But really, if you want to be able to go home, say somebody in your family gets sick and you need to go home, you want to have the money for that. How are you going to have the money for that if you only got $500 a month to live off of, and you're stretched out and you're spending $400, $450 out of that? The other thing is, if you're young, you should probably save something of whatever it is you're earning, at least maybe 10%. If you're an American and you're young, something else to consider, if you really truly want to live here for the long term, say 20, 30, 40 years, you need to remember that if you're not earning in America, the amount of your Social Security benefits is going to drop as the years pass because you're not contributing anything. So now, granted, if you're an American, who knows? Social Security might not be around in another 10 years. I don't know. But, why think that way? I mean, it is something to consider that if you live and work outside of the United States for, say, 20 or 30 years, your Social Security benefit is going to decrease. I know because mine has. But a single person can, they might find it perfectly acceptable to share a studio apartment with several others. For the long term, I think it's less than palatable to say share an apartment with 4 or 5 people so you can cut costs. It's enough to live with my wife, and then we have children. So now, okay, I live with my wife and my kids. I can deal with that. When I was single, I certainly didn't want to live with another guy. Have to worry about him throwing his stuff all over the place. And, maybe when I was 20 or 25, okay. But once I hit about 30, 35, I got to be on my own. I got to have my own place, especially if you got a studio. Okay, so, the other thing is when you're married. If you're married, maybe your wife can handle sleeping on the floor or sleeping in a studio apartment. Maybe she can handle that for a little while. Maybe you can handle it. I don't know. But as time passes, it becomes more of a hardship and less of an adventure. When you come, it's like, wow, I live in Thailand. Oh, I finally did it. I'm here. Your adrenaline's pumping. You're happy. But after a while, you start going, man, this is not comfortable. I want to sleep on a bed, at least a futon or something like that. So that's something else to think about. And the difference between the needs of somebody who's single, somebody who's married, and or somebody who's a retiree. Everybody has different needs, and everybody at different ages is going to have different needs. But if you plan to live in Thailand or elsewhere for that matter, for say 20, 30 years, for the rest of your life, if you're fairly young and you want to live here for the rest of your life, or anywhere else, like I said, $500 doesn't give you very much leeway in your budget. Like I said, you'll get a roof over your head, you get food in your stomach, and you might have a little bit left over, but you need to decide if that is really what you want and what you need. Because for me, the minimum that somebody should move here, if they're single, to have a good time, to really experience Thailand. And I'm not talking about just worrying about every little 5 baht, 10 baht, and really crunching the numbers. I'm talking about you want to go out and, if you got to spend an extra 50 baht to buy something, then you have the money to do it. I figure the minimum that you really need is at least $1,000, preferably $1,200 to $1,500. That's as a single man going out. Maybe you got a girlfriend who's got a job, she's working, she's not some girl that you got to give money to or something like that. Then that should be enough. If you're a retiree, you probably need a little bit less, unless you've got health issues. If you're married with a wife, well, then you might have a second income and you might be covered. I find that people who are married and live here don't tend to have the same problems and don't tend to nickel and dime as much as people who are single, people who are just coming over, they're young, they're just trying to make it, they want to live in the cheapest place possible and live for the cheapest amount possible. I'll be honest, I don't want to live cheaply. I like nice things once in a while. I don't have to have them all the time. I'm not spoiled. I don't need to have the best of everything. I mean, I wear clothes sometimes, and some of my clothes are 4 or 5 years old. I just figure, I like the shirt, I want to wear it. Or, hey, it's comfortable, I'm going to wear it. But once in a while, if I want to go out and buy a nice shirt, I like to know I got the money to do it. And I don't want to have to worry about, oh, gosh, I have to save for 6 months to buy this $100 shirt. I really don't want to have to worry about that. And I have to say that, I completely understand as far as somebody who is a retiree, who, or somebody who's living on a fixed budget. Well, why would you want to live in America or the UK or Canada on $500 a month when you can have at least a slightly higher standard of living here in Thailand for the same amount? At least for now, the standard of living is higher for that same amount of money. And whether you can handle living off of very little depends on your own situation, your own needs, your own place in life, your status that you view yourself having, and what standard of living you require or that you want. One thing that I didn't say is that the value of the dollar has dropped dramatically. The baht has gotten stronger and stronger. So now figure this also. Right now the baht, let's just say that it's at 30. It's not. It's at 29. But we'll say that for mathematical purposes, we'll say the baht is 30 to the dollar. Are you prepared for the baht to go to 25 to the dollar? Now that's 20%. So instead of getting, say, 15,000 baht, now you're only going to get 12,500 baht. You just lost 20% of, well, not 20%. What is it? Also, what happens if the baht continues to strengthen and the dollar continues to weaken, and the baht, it goes to 25 to the dollar. Right now it's, or say 24 to the dollar. Okay? I don't really foresee that happening, but there is a chance it could happen. It used to be 25, and it was there for many, many years. Let's say it goes to 24 for mathematical purposes, and right now it's at 30. Right now, at 30 to the dollar, you get 15,000 baht for $500. Okay? If it's 24, you only get 12,000 baht. Okay? So you just lost 3,000 baht. That's 20% of your money. So in other words, you're going to have less money to spend. And you know what? I'll tell you something. I've been here when the baht was at, I forget exactly what the highest that it was, but I was here when it was something like 53 or 54. And as the price of, as the baht has strengthened, prices have risen here. It hasn't had any benefit. You know, there's been nothing beneficial about the baht strengthening that I've seen. You know, prices of in everyday life, when you go shopping and you do things like that, prices are higher now. You know, they're higher than they used to be. They're not lower. So the chances of prices getting better in the future are slim, in my opinion. So that's another thing, is that when you start losing money on the exchange rate to the point where you just have lost 20 or 30% of what you used to get, you know, how are you going to live then? You know, I just don't know. So anyway, that's all for now. Chok di la Jerkan Mai. Until next time, I hope you learned a little bit from this video. Please click subscribe, click like, go to my Facebook, go to my website, stay in touch, and if I can assist you in any way, please let me know and I'll do my best to do so. Thank you, and see you next time.